My name is Susan Piver, and I'm here with Jenna Hollenstein. We are co-teachers for the Open Heart Project's Meditation Instructor Training Program, and we wanted to tell you a little bit about what goes on there. So Jenna, maybe why don't you, do you mind starting? Like, what, do you remember how we came up with this program and what?
I remember I was walking toward my office where I work as a nutrition therapist, and I was talking to someone who I know who's a clinician about how powerful we both felt that mindfulness practices were and meditation was in our work. And I was coming from the perspective of training and practicing and studying. And my colleague at the time, and I've had this conversation numerous times with colleagues, had recently completed some sort of like weekend program and really felt it was very powerful and decided to start incorporating it into her work. And my initial response was, you can't do that. Because I just know from my own path that it's such a kind of windy thing and very unpredictable. And I felt, I had not yet started to teach mindfulness in my work because I felt a huge responsibility to do it properly.
Right.
And so you and I had some conversations about this, and clearly, mindfulness and meditation have taken hold in our culture in lots of different ways, some probably a little bit more authentic than others. But a lot of people are really interested and touched by this practice and want to share it with the people that they work with.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a good intention.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, I think it's so important to do it responsibly.
I could not agree more. And yeah, I had a similar motivation, which is, I think I heard someone say they went to a talk on mindfulness and now we're starting to teach it to others. And, yay for mindfulness being so popular, and that's great, just like you say. But you and I both know from our own training that there is something called the transmission quality that is really important to protect, and that giving someone meditation instruction is not about explaining something to them. It's about transmitting something to them. And the transmission quality comes from connection to a lineage, or in our case, a Buddhist lineage. Doesn't mean anybody has to be a Buddhist or that there's anything even Buddhisty about it. But because I was taught by someone who was taught by his teacher, who was taught by her teacher, and so on, presumably all the way back to the Buddha, there's a particular through line that maintains the spiritual nature of the practice and keeps it out of the realm of self-help.
Right.
So I remember we both wanted to come up with something that would help people who help others bring this practice to their clients or their patients responsibly, just like you said. And so we came up with a 9-week curriculum, and it's not a throwaway curriculum. We meet for 2 hours a week on Tuesdays and a half an hour on Fridays. You do a check-in with everybody. And we both teach for the Tuesday classes. And the most important piece, I believe we both decided that the most important piece was the student's own meditation practice.
Absolutely.
Is no teaching without a stable practice yourself. So that's the focus of the first part. And how would you describe the focus of the second part of the training?
Well, I think, a lot of our students seem to come from lots of different backgrounds, some with fairly experienced meditation practices, many decades in some cases. Others are just beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But all of our students seem to go through a very interesting personal transformation through that first half of the course. And I think it has to do with the way that we've introduced the information, the way that we've maintained the simplicity of the technique and not sort of added on, not tried to zhuzh it up with any little Piverisms or Hollensteinisms, and kept it very simple, and then also allowed them to interact with one another, because we use the forum for them to respond to homework questions and to read and comment on one another's responses. And then we also use the Zoom platform, which I think is amazing, to allow them to break out into small groups and speak with one another about their own personal transformation. And so what I see, especially in the check-ins on Fridays for a half hour, is this evolution of a language that people don't previously have.
Interesting.
In how to describe the inside transformation that's happening for them. And that is a big part of, I think, what makes this so powerful is that they are practicing, they have this forum to practice this language with one another, to start to put into words what often defies language. And that's the biggest gift that they have to offer the people that they work with. And so once we get into the second half of the program and we start to orient the class toward outward sharing, there's a different quality that people are offering. It's not like I want to help others and I just want to transfer this information. It's this practice is important to me because fill in the blank. This is what I have experienced. This is what others seem to have experienced. And you might experience this too. And we give them lots of chances to practice with one another. Again, in addition to the breakout groups with Zoom, we do dyads so that they can give each other meditation instruction and really practice that. And I always love to tell people how the first time I tried to give meditation instruction to you, it sounded like utter gibberish. I thought I knew it perfectly in my head, and my practice felt strong and authentic and very integrated. And yet the practice of like giving the instruction was completely different. Nobody believes it until they start to do it.
I know exactly.
You know? And to see the transformation between like I think it's week 6 that they start to give meditation instruction to one another, and then week 7 and then week 8, there's like, it's almost a vertical learning curve.
I have the same exact observation as you do. And I have to say, one of the things that surprised me the most about the program, because, you know, I thought, oh, well, we're good teachers and we are well trained and we will convey this and we'll do it in the most responsible way possible and that will be helpful. But what actually turned out to be at least as helpful was the relationships the students developed with each other.
Yeah.
And the community of support and the encouragement. And I mean, that was a beautiful thing. And I got to say, I did not quite see that coming, but that created this really beautiful container for people to learn this ancient and profound practice with a lot of courage and open-heartedness. And because it is ancient and because it is profound, because it's not a life hack and it's not a self-improvement technique, we have been really careful to be responsible about the requirements for completing this program successfully.
Very true.
So people have to show up for all the sessions. They can miss one, but it can't be the first class and it can't be the last class. Of course, you know, unforeseen things happen, so we would work with people, but basically the attendance is really important. And
so you have to be here live for the online meeting.
Exactly, and like paying attention.
Sharing space, not driving in a car, not walking down the street, like paying attention, being still like we do for the practice itself, and allowing yourself to take in that information and one another.
Exactly. We really need to know they're paying attention. And also making a heart connection to the practice, which looks different for everyone. We're not trying to get them to make the same connection that Jenna has or that Susan has, because like you were saying, the most important thing is their personal experience of the practice. That's the seed from which all the teaching grows. Yeah. So we check that. We're not spying, but we have homework and conversations, and then before the program ends, each student talks to you or I individually to reflect on how the program went for them, and also to give us meditation instruction. Mm-hmm. So we can really know, oh yes, not that this, nobody's got it perfect. We're still learning by all means, but yeah, I get it. This person understands what they're doing. They're on the path. This is great. Yeah. So I've also noticed that I feel, maybe, you know, everyone who teaches something like this feels this way, but I feel this program is different than other programs who teach people how to teach meditation. What I've noticed, and then I'm curious just what you've noticed, is they're either like canned, meaning there's 12 lessons and you just sign up for it and they get served to your inbox, but you don't ever really talk to a person. But there's study questions in a forum, but it's not really a community and you're not really interacting with teachers personally. There's that. And then there's programs that are, you know, quick and dirty, like learn to do this in 3 weeks. And then on the other end of the spectrum are programs that are 3 years long.
Yeah.
Beautiful and deep and profound, but 3 years long. And we wanted this to be something for professionals who want to bring this skill to their client base, like coaches and so forth, yoga teachers.
Yeah, it's really interesting because, you know, this isn't about becoming a spiritual guide. This is not about becoming a guru. This is about transmitting a very simple breath awareness technique, with the eyes open, by the way, and knowing how to respond to the most frequently asked questions.
Yeah.
And, you know, my feeling about what makes it different is that whereas I think a lot of people probably come to it, I think I came to it from this perspective too, of like, this is something I want to offer to other people, like as a teacher. Something changed and it became like something I wanted to share, like from one human to another. Like, and so, you know, some of us might be further along on a certain path than the person that we're sharing it with. But that doesn't mean that we're like different in any way.
Absolutely.
And that's really key, you know? And I think that's the sort of startling and sometimes humbling aspect of this course is that, you know, maybe you took already 1 million mindfulness courses and weekend retreats and silent retreats and things like that. Yet there's something about the human connection that we have with one another. You know, it's probably in part the connection that you and I have with one another, the connection that that the students get to develop with their co-students in different types of forums, because not everybody wants to share in the live class. Sometimes people are more apt to share on the forum. Sometimes it's Darwin. Sometimes people are more apt to share in the breakout groups. But there's this human connection that predictably happens over the course of, like, it always seems to take shape around the same time.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I think it's around week 3. It's like suddenly something arises that's really special.
Yeah.
I agree.
And in some ways, it's not what people expect.
It's not what I expected.
Yeah.
And I love that your cat has walked into the frame.
Yes.
Because this is a program that people can do at home.
Yeah.
We have met many cats and dogs.
And babies.
And babies.
Yeah.
Exactly, because we've seen moms with babies in arms and, you know, people
breastfeeding moms
do this otherwise.
That's the thing that I have always felt so strongly about, because I have a almost 3-year-old, and, you know, I was on a path of study that got interrupted, you know, because my brain changed when I was pregnant. And then after that, everything else changed. And I just couldn't get away for a weekend, let alone a week, let alone multiple weeks to deepen this type of path, which maybe I'll do someday. But there's something, again, about like the simplicity and the container of this course that really allows a significant transformation to happen in a shorter amount of time and in this very accessible forum.
Yes, in the comfort of your home. Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's such a joy to teach with you.
I love teaching with you.
It's just completely mutual. I'm really happy we do this together.
It's intimidating to teach to my teacher sometimes, to give instruction with my teacher listening, and but it's such a nice compliment, because you have trained to be a spiritual guide, and you trained me to teach this technique to the people I work with, similar to the way that we're teaching our students to teach this simple technique. And if, you know, someone's spiritual needs extend beyond what we are capable of providing, we learn how to handle that, how to guide them, how to connect them with people who are qualified to help them on their path.
Exactly. And that not everyone should have meditation instruction.
That's true.
It's not good for everyone. So we help students learn, like who would it be painful? Who
Yeah.
should you give instruction to and who should you not?
Right.
And also it has been good on the relationship level in so many ways. For me, it's been wonderful relationships with students, an ever deepening relationship with my dear friend, you, and my own relationship to the practice
Yeah.
deepens every time we've done this. I think when we do it again in September of 2018, it will be our fifth session.
Yeah.
Every time I teach it, I learn so much. And there is no better way to deepen your connection to meditation or anything than to learn how to teach it. So we've had people in the program who aren't yoga teachers, aren't coaches. They don't know if they ever want to teach it, but they want to take a deeper dive into their own practice. And that happens. And not just for you, but for us as your teachers, that happens too.
And many people in career transitions, in retirement, and
True.
making the leap from like working for others to working for themselves.
Mhm.
It's been very interesting. And obviously a lot of moms. And I've noticed a lot of single moms. So like the superheroes of the of the world.
Exactly. And thank God, because how else would they be able to do this? So it's good. I'm really happy about all of this. And if you're watching this and you're interested in this program, that's fantastic. There's information about how to apply. There's an email address if you have questions that you want to ask first. And the program starts on September 20th? 21st. Thank you. And we have an early bird special price that expires on September 2nd. So you can find all about the pricing here. And if you want to do it and you want to take advantage of that, please sign up before September 2nd. And we hope to see you there.